Avoiding money conversations doesn't prevent conflict, it creates it. In today's podcast, we are talking about why having real conversations about money, especially in your close relationships, is one of the highest forms of self care. So grab your smoothie or cup of tea and join the conversation. Let's go. Hey there, welcome back to How to Be Fit Over 40 Midlife Conversations with Hicunni. Now, it is week 10 of our 180-day challenge, and we've been focusing on financial wellness through a holistic lens. So, last week, we explored how trauma can shape the way we manage money, but healing isn't just internal, it's relational. So, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about why having real conversations about money, especially in your close relationships, is one of the highest forms of self care. Yes, we're talking about money again. So, this is truly a skill that needs to be developed. Now, many of us were not taught about how to talk about money, we were taught about how to avoid it or argue over it, right? Because guess what? It's one of the leading causes of divorce these days, just money, right? So let me take a little sip of my lemon water. And I hope you got a smoothie or a cup of tea, lemon water, whatever it is. And so we are going to dive into this conversation even more. Before we do this, just to let you know, this podcast is going into its 6th year. So we started out as conversations with Hicunni, and then as time went on, more and more having those midlife conversations because we need to have those in midlife. So super excited that we have been going strong right now. I think it's over 113 different countries/territories have downloaded these podcast episodes. So we are international, baby. So you can go ahead and let people know more about this podcast. It's been around. We have some skin in the game. Let people know about it. And if you want to reach out to me, you can also reach out to me and we can give you a little shout out on this podcast. And I'll tell you more about that as well. So let's get back to the content. Okay. So again, people argue about money, or they either argue about it or they just bury it under guilt, fear, or don't say anything at all. But this is what I've learned. Avoiding money conversations doesn't prevent the conflict, it creates it. So whether it's with your spouse, your business partner, friend, your kids, silence can feel like secrecy, right? And guess what? Secrecy creates stress. It brings your body into that stress response, right? So, money talk is a relationship skill. It builds trust, it creates lack of confusion once you start building that trust. But when you first start, there is no trust. So, you are oftentimes confused. So when you actually start talking about it, it clears up that confusion and it opens doors for sharing goals and support. So let's give a little bit of truth here. Just think about it. You say, "Oh, I can't afford that right now." And look at that. Always when you're recording, here's something. It talks about last week how much I actually spent on social media. But let me just get back to the content. Okay. So you may say, I can't afford that right now. Okay. So that may be true by looking at your spreadsheets and all that. And it doesn't mean that you are weak, but it's creating clarity. But there's ways to reframe this because you do not want to continue to allow those words. I can't, I won't, all the things, all those words that keep floating around. So you can reframe that as okay. You're not saying, just covering it up, but I am learning how to become, or I'm becoming the person that knows how to keep better track of my money. You're becoming that person. You're becoming the person that knows how to keep track of the way you spend your money. So, however you want to reframe that, you can reframe that so it just won't always be that negative connotation associated with you and money. Does that make sense? You can make a plan and say, look, let's make a plan together. This is not control. You're connecting. You're learning how to build that relationship skill, right? You want to feel more safe. So, okay, I need to feel more safe around this conversation. And that's not being dramatic. You are being more emotionally mature. All right, let me get my little tea, my lemon water. Okay, so I can talk. So, having these money talks is emotional hygiene, especially in midlife when priorities, relationships, and dreams are shifting. So, do you want to be able to share a healthy money conversation without drama? So, what you can do is just start small, not with yelling, not with complicated spreadsheets and statistics. Start small and start soft. All right, having these conversations and start with a reframe. Come with something more positive. All right, here goes. I'd love to have a regular check-in around our finances, even if it's just once a month. How do you feel about that? Or, I've been thinking about some goals and I'd like to work together and just kind of talk about how we can go through this. How about let's meet, I'll make a smoothie and we can sit and talk about it. Or, meet for coffee or tea if you're working through these things with a business partner or with your spouse. You can have a meeting over coffee or tea. Let's go out to eat. We'll go out to eat. We talk about money. Whatever works, start small. You may want to start with the smoothie or the tea. And just have that conversation. What's your first memory of money? And just, I'm actually exploring my own story of money and just have that conversation and just keep it small, keep it positive, okay? Now, this isn't about blaming. It's not a big confrontation. It's about just learning how to collaborate, come together, okay? So just think about that. Remember, no pressure, no stress. Just keep it simple and keep it small. All right. Now, if you want to, unpack more of this money story and just build more confidence for speaking up, you don't have to do it alone. I do have that private coaching podcast subscription, and it's more about it. You can learn more about it in the show notes. And this is how we get into more of these conversations because it's all about financial wellness, taking care of you, who you want to be, who you want to show up as. And so we want to show up as being our best self. So we unpack more of those conversations in our coaching group. So I can't wait to see you there. So as a reminder, this week, I want you to honor your future self with that honest conversation. This is not just a strategy. It's more about self-respect and making sure you get the best out of yourself. So we're going to keep this conversation going. Until next time, nutrition is more than what you eat and the weight that you carry. Talk to you soon.